I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Technologies, and we are here at the NETA, the International Electrical Testing Association, their 2023 Power Tech Conference, doing interviews. My guest with me is the Director of Communications for APC Media, Rachel Linke. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, Alan. Would miss it.
We're just going to have an interesting time with all of these people, and tell me what you like best about these interviews.
The best part about these interviews, I feel like, is that it really brings about a lot of great thought leadership, and I really just love how you make everybody feel so comfortable, Alan. You really try to get people to just be comfortable and in their own skin, and then so much great information comes out of it. So
let's see if we made people in the next interview comfortable. Enjoy. My next guest is Denise Green. Denise is a manager with CBS Group. You're going to talk a little bit about that, but what is your title and what is your role at Group CBS?
So I am the Midwest manager for the offices in the Midwest. I also do a lot of sales and manage the sales team and the operations in multiple locations.
One of our passions at APC Technologies is women in power systems. You are a woman in power systems, so congratulations and thank you. We get to do this
Thank
again.
you.
Okay.
Yes.
That is unusual. You started in service, right?
Yes, I started in
you're
service.
Out in the field.
Yes, so I have been in this industry for 33 years.
Oh, come on.
Honestly,
what did you do, start
years.
When you were 2?
Well, I tell people 12. So, but I started out as a breaker technician, field service technician. I worked for an independent company. Then we were acquired by a NETA company.
Okay.
So I was a NETA. I only tested to level 2, and then I left the field service world and went to CBS.
Okay.
So I did the active field service and breaker work for 28 years.
Wow.
I still do some breaker work on occasion. You know, if we're really busy, I jump in and lend an extra set of hands in that world. And yes, you are right. The dynamic of women in this industry has really not changed that much since I started.
Yeah.
There are a lot more engineers and I think a lot more test engineers that are women, but on the other side of it, the technician side, it's probably about the same as it was when I started.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, we part of an organization that I'm part of, SMRP, the Society for Maintenance and Reliability People. We lobbied for the Perkins Act, which was part of STEM, but it was at the high school. Remember, we used to do shop. We don't do shop anymore. We need to reinstate shop, but we don't need women to do home ec. We need them to do shop, right? But I want you to make a case for a young woman who's not going to go to college. That's not what she wants to do, but it's a hard career to be, in the service part of this world.
No,
right?
I really don't think it is. I can operate every single piece of equipment that's made. There's not a switch, a breaker, anything that, and I am not a Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilder or anything like that. I think the stigma that we have to get past for women is it's okay to sometimes get dirty, and it's okay to wear steel-toed shoes and a hard hat and a safety vest.
Yeah.
And if you can get past that part of it, it's a very rewarding career. There is nothing better than showing up on site and you're the person that saves the day.
Yeah.
There is sometimes nothing better than that, So I think that's the goal. I think for educators and for people that are involved with young women is to encourage them to try something that's a little bit out of the scope of past female generations and what they did, and that you're as capable as you might not be able to move a 700-pound breaker, but there's a lot you can do in that space.
Denise, I can't move a 700.
Right, exactly.
It really wasn't about the actual work that I've heard that people said it's a hard, but they've said that for both men and women. In the service world, the travel and the being away from home and all of that can be hard. If you can localize it, I think it works.
I traveled. It's definitely a balance. Having a spouse that, has a career that doesn't travel as much worked for me.
Yeah.
I only have one child, so maybe that was a little bit easier, but I was in field service, the entire time my child was young, and you just balance, when you're home and when you're gone.
Yeah.
And that's no different for men.
Yeah.
There should be the same balance.
Okay. So switch gears.
Okay.
Now you're going into a technologist.
Yes.
I need your technology brain, which is not a women's technology brain, it's your technology brain. Excuse me. There are, we've had some people, and they were talking about the technology of breakers itself is changing. We're going, microprocessing and digital and all of that. You make the case that, well, that may change, but really it's still a mechanical structure. Talk to me about that.
So circuit breakers are mechanical devices that just so happen to have electricity running through them. And while the protection side has evolved from series overcurrent and thermomagnetic to solid state trip units, which have been around since the 70s, the protection side has gotten far more advanced, even on 480 volt breakers, with the choices of protection that you can employ. But the devices themselves are still mechanical devices. There still has to be a way to break a circuit, and that can't be done virtually. There are virtual mains there, but that is never a primary source of disconnect for electrical equipment. So while SF6 is being phased out and new technologies are coming for the actual breaking of the circuit, it's still a mechanical device that has electricity running through it that we need to address.
Yeah.
No matter what the new styles of equipment are. We've gone to smaller, more compact units that are enclosed. They're safer for personnel, but they're also limited because they've been engineered down to what's the bare minimum of copper you need to carry these amps versus over-engineered that were previous generations of equipment. So it's a little bit different philosophy on the manufacturer side, but and the protection side.
I'm proud to say that I was part of that overbuilding everything, because we use slide rules.
Yes.
And you always went to now we got computers that said no, only put this much.
In the event of an emergency or a serious fault, sometimes those older pieces of equipment handle things a little bit better. The new stuff is sometimes disposable.
Same is
and
true with transformers. I mean, they were overbuilt. Best transformer ever built was in 1976. It came out of a Westinghouse plant. I saw it. It'll run 100 years. I promise
Probably,
you, right?
With the proper maintenance
With
and
the proper
testing.
maintenance, you're right. So I want to go to now, if the breakers are changing, the tools for testing, are they changing, or are we doing the same tests that we've done for 100 years?
We're doing a lot of the same tests, maybe not for 100 years, but the gold standard of testing, is for low voltage breakers, always high current testing, so that's not going to go away. You can secondary test a trip unit, but it doesn't test that whole system.
Okay.
And so some of the technology is staying the same. Test equipment's getting smaller and easier to use.
Okay.
So insulation resistance, contact resistance, all of those things, are getting smaller, so that carrying around a 100 amp ductor is a lot easier than it used to be, because of technology. But the basic testing and the principles of how electricity works hasn't changed. So some of the baseline testing on a circuit breaker is going to be exactly the same. Now, on the protection side, we've been able to advance to much more specific protection, especially on the medium voltage and high voltage levels, where there's a lot more parameters that can be tested, a lot more monitoring, a lot more information available to the owner on the status of their equipment, the health of their equipment, all of that. So that part of it has really increased into, instead of just overcurrent protection and instantaneous protection, there are vast numbers of parameters that you can set as a protection.
Which is all data that helps somebody make a decision as to what to do next, right? And
exactly.
That's happening everywhere throughout industry. In fact, this will be published in an issue that's advanced transformer testing and advanced technologies for the industry. So that's kind of what we're trying to say is even though things are changing, things are the same. But you just get a lot more information for the user because there are fewer of them. They're having a hard time getting people, whether it's utility or industrial electrical systems. So we've got to help them.
Yeah, there's been
fewer people make better decisions.
There's been, huge advances like into cable testing.
Right.
It went from just mega and high pot to partial discharge and tan delta testing and all of those things. High pot testing and now MAC testing for vacuum bottles. Rather than a go no go, you actually have informational data that can help customers track the life of their equipment, their critical circuits, all of that for both utilities, manufacturing facilities, all of that. So it's been great that people are inventing new devices and new ways of getting more data and better ways to store that data so that it's accessible to everyone.
Okay, so last but not least, you got I'm on an elevator with you. We're on the 22nd floor. You got 2 minutes to pitch me on what Group CBS does, what specifically you do.
We specialize in life extension solutions for equipment, existing equipment. With the supply chain shortage, we've really been able to step up and help a lot of people. The other thing that we really do is we supply a lot of sort of consultative information, whether customers realize it or not, to help them make the best choices on their existing infrastructure and whether they replace that or whether they upgrade their equipment to better protective devices so that they work quicker, faster, and more accurately, as opposed to ripping everything out and starting over. And sometimes there is the start over conversation, and other times it's the how do we best use what you have, working with your budget, with what the life extension is really of this equipment and how do you best run your facility. So that's what we specialize in. We do a lot of need it now rescue operations, in the events of faults and electrical incidents that the manufacturers can't do. They don't have ready equipment to go. So that's sort of the niche that we fall in as the informational brain knowledge goes away. We've been able to step in and help many of our end users fill that knowledge gap with the new engineer that works there that knows nothing about their system because the other guy retired and you didn't have enough time to impart all of that information. So we've become sort of part of that bridge of support, and customer assistance.
We have a supply chain issue on material and product. We have a supply chain issue on people.
And knowledge.
You step in there. But anyway, Denise, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was
sold.
lovely to talk to you. Excellent.